The letter arrived on a quiet Thursday morning, folded neatly and marked with my father's handwriting. It wasn't unusual for him to send notes, but this one carried a weight that made my stomach twist. It was about my inheritance, something I had known about for years but never felt ready to claim. The letter requested a meeting with the entire family to discuss it. I read it twice, then a third time, making sure I hadn't misunderstood. For years, my father had been the head of our family, a man whose decisions shaped everyone's lives. He had made it clear that the inheritance was meant to maintain stability for the younger members of the family, but also as a recognition of loyalty and obedience. I had always respected him, but now, for reasons I couldn't ignore, I knew I couldn't simply accept it without question. When the day of the meeting arrived, the house felt heavier than usual. My cousins, aunts, and uncles were already seated around the dining table, each one exchanging whispers and cautious glances. My father sat at the head of the table, looking calm but unyielding, as if he knew the storm that was about to unfold and welcomed it anyway. I took a deep breath before speaking. "I appreciate the inheritance, but I cannot accept it on the terms you expect," I said. My voice was steady, though my heart raced. "I want to use what I've earned, and what I will earn, without feeling obligated to satisfy conditions I don't agree with." There was a sudden silence, broken only by the shuffling of papers and the subtle clearing of throats. My father's eyes narrowed slightly, a mix of surprise and curiosity. No one had ever spoken to him like this in our family. For generations, his word had been accepted without question. "Money," he said slowly, his tone controlled but firm, "you don't understand what you're refusing. This is not just money, it's your future, your security. Everything we've built is meant to protect you." I met his gaze directly. "I understand exactly what it is, Dad. But protection isn't the same as control. I need to make my own choices, even if that means stepping away from what you offer. I hope you can respect that." Murmurs spread around the table. Some relatives nodded in quiet agreement, while others looked shocked or even offended. The tension was almost tangible, a fragile thread stretched to its limit. My father leaned back, a long pause stretching between us. Then, unexpectedly, he spoke again, softer this time. "You're making this about more than just money. You're asserting independence. That's new for you." I realized at that moment that the meeting wasn't going to descend into the confrontation I had feared. Instead, it became a space for honesty. Cousins shared their own frustrations, aunts admitted long-held resentments, and my father, finally, listened. The room transformed from a scene of tension to a conversation that had been overdue for years. By the end of the meeting, no formal decisions were made, but something had shifted. My father didn't force me to accept the inheritance, and I didn't feel alienated. For the first time, I sensed genuine respect in the way our family looked at me, not because of my obedience, but because of my willingness to stand firm. Walking away from the table, I realized how rare this moment was. Families often cling to traditions, money, and roles, but sometimes the most important inheritance isn't wealth. It's the right to be heard, to make choices, and to define your own path. That day, I didn't just refuse the inheritance. I claimed something far more important, my voice. And in doing so, I discovered a family meeting I never expected, one that didn't end in anger or division, but in understanding.